there's a story occupying the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. It's good that we have Nenyi Georgianda here with us. He's the Deputy Minister of Communications, and rightfully, he will explain the issues to us and answer the questions as they come. It's a story written by Edmund Smith Asante. It says Ghana's attempt to transition from analog to digital is set to meet another major snag. That's the intro to the story already. We've done some transition so far. We've not fully done it. It's called the DTT, basically an acronym for Digital Terrestrial Television. And well, the story seems to say that GIBA, that's the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, is worried that StarTimes, that's the operators of the Chinese pay TV, they have been given the right, so to speak, to do the full migration as it is, but there's a certain history to it. And it's good that we have the Deputy Minister here. Good morning to you, Nenyi. What's the background to the story in the first place?
In the first place, I just want to clarify that yesterday I received a call from this gentleman from Graphic. In the afternoon, I was in the middle of a meeting.
You mean Edmund Smith Asante?
Yes, I was in the middle of a meeting, and he said he wanted to have a discussion on GIBA's concerns regarding the DTT. Now, that is a very big subject. So I told him that he should come to the office and that there was a scheduled officer and we'll give him a proper briefing. He never showed up. Only for me to see in this today's publication that he called and I said that if he likes, should come to the office, as if I was unwilling to engage or provide the information. I think that is most unprofessional and it is very wrong. I don't expect this from a journalist, more so from a newspaper like Graphic. They should have done the honorable thing. Okay, it is clear that I told him to come into the office for the full briefing and he refused to come. Maybe he has his agenda. But another fact that I want to establish is that there is no arrangement to hand over the management of the National Digital Terrestrial Television infrastructure to StarTimes to manage. Indeed, there's a company that has been registered, the Central Digital Transmission Company. The company is going to have the board of directors having representatives from GIBA, having representatives from the government of Ghana, having representatives from various stakeholders, okay, including the National Media Commission that are going to manage this infrastructure. So I think that either Graphic are misinformed or GIBA are misinformed, and based on that, they are panicking. We have had a number of situations where indeed, even in building in working on the DTT policy, we have had GIBA provide input into the DTT policy. Recently, they sent somebody about some of these concerns, and we responded to GIBA and said we'll be engaging them shortly. What we are doing right now is that KNET has built the infrastructure for DTT. There are 42 sites that have been built and are transmitting. Most of these sites were not connected to dedicated power. And so you have a situation where today there's a site operating or transmitting as a point A. Tomorrow some welder comes to build his welding shop, and the quality of power suddenly degrades, and it affects the quality of the equipment. And so we took a decision that we're going to ensure that all of these sites were connected to dedicated power from ECG. And we had dedicated transformers that KNET provided, okay, and that is ongoing. NETCO is taking care of the northern sites. ECG has completed the southern sites. We looked at the infrastructure that was available. 40 channels that had all been full. NCA is receiving requests every day from individuals and institutions that want to be able to participate. The channels are full. Okay, there's currently no redundancy for the national DTT infrastructure that is there. There is no recording, there's no creative recording studio. Okay, and these are elements, including the enhancement of the network, these are elements that are required. And so what we decided to do was to look at how we can enhance the network, move the number of channels from 40 to 100. And within those 100, include high definition channels, okay? So that it's not just standard definition transmission that Ghanaians are going to enjoy, but if there's a broadcaster that wants to transmit premium, okay, he can transmit through that medium. And then there was also the situation where StarTimes had taken the government of Ghana to court for, in their view, the wrongful termination of the contract by the MOC in 2010. And obviously, we're paying very high legal fees, and upon the advice of the legal team, it was decided to try and seek a settlement and for us to be able to access this Exim Bank facility. So once we receive the necessary approvals and it goes through Cabinet, it goes through Parliament, then StarTimes' role is to enhance the network. It's not about managing the DTT network.
So StarTimes, initially they were given the contract to have this infrastructure in place, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were they able to deliver?
Well, that contract was terminated. The contract was terminated because the MOC at that time felt like they didn't have the capacity to execute. But that's the case that was sent to court, for which I said that it was going through this arbitration, and I mean there were very high fees that were associated with it. And in reviewing the case, it wasn't something that we wanted to pursue because it was. They seem to have had a just cause. Okay.
So how do the two parties, the two entities, all providing almost like services, coexist?
No, they are not. Somebody is building the infrastructure. Okay.
So KNet now has built the infrastructure.
KNet I think their work is about 95% complete.
So the role of StarTimes will be?
Listen, it is dependent on us getting the right approvals. Okay, if we don't get the right approvals, that bit doesn't come in. But the whole idea is to get the right approvals to be able to enhance the network, and that means that we'd have to access the Exim Bank facility to increase the number of sites from 40 sites to 60 sites.
And herein, StarTimes' role will be in all this to be what?
Will be to enhance the network. It has nothing to do with the management of the network. The operations and management of the network is going to be handled by the Central Digital Transmission Company. It has been registered. It hasn't yet been operationalized, but that is what it is. So there's absolutely no truth that StarTimes are going to.
Okay, so this is the quote. This is the quote by Edmond Smith Asante. That's for the graphic story by GIBA. If StarTimes is allowed to control both Ghana's only digital television infrastructure and the satellite space in the name of digital migration, Ghana would virtually submit its broadcast space to a foreign control and control.
There's no truth in there. It's a baseless statement. There's no element of truth in there. You see, I think that there's confusion between the DTT infrastructure and there's a project, the satellite TV project that StarTimes are embarking on. StarTimes.
Is that not their own private initiative?
Yeah, but so let me explain. So StarTimes through the Chinese government through StarTimes gave a grant to to a number of African countries where 10,000 communities were going to benefit from a package for digital television transmission or digital television experience. Now, Ghana benefited with 300 of these communities. So as of now, there's work ongoing with StarTimes and the implementation team to identify and do the proper coordination. Each of these 300 beneficiary villages would have a public viewing center where StarTimes would provide the digital TV and then 2 solar projectors for the public viewing center and then a decoder. In addition, there'll be 20 households from each identified, each targeted or each identified community that will benefit from the StarTimes decoder free of charge. You will have to buy your own digital TV. So you would get 6 months transmission of StarTimes' broadcast free of charge. Okay, probably that is what GIBA think that.
Did you engage GIBA?
What
in the latest comeback of StarTimes, knowing that you are engaging them in arbitration as they have taken the government of Ghana to court?
GIBA is a key stakeholder as far as DTT.
And your key stakeholder is raising the serious
Can I
serious
ask the question? Can I please answer? GIBA is a key holder as far as the DTT engagement or the DTT migration process is concerned. And we do consider their inputs extremely valuable. Okay, we have engaged GIBA on a number of times. As of now, what we are doing is the commissioning of the sites, okay, to dedicated power. Okay, we haven't officially switched on yet. GIBA provided input into the draft DTT policy. Okay, and I believe that as recently as last week, GIBA was written to that we're planning a stakeholder engagement with them, and then would confirm to them when we could meet. So there hasn't
According to GIBA, you're forcibly trying to make this whole comeback come to pass.
Well, I've told you that the information upon which GIBA is making these statements,
expressing these
it doesn't hold. There's no truth.
Very
there's
well.
no truth to it.
Very well. Well, I'm sure the times will unfold, so we'll see how it goes.